listen up, y'all. It's the queen of automation, Megan Donnelly, here to give you inspiration. Founders and business owners gather round. I'ma show you how to build systems that'll astound. Streamline your processes, no need for complicated.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Queen of Automation podcast, where we talk about operations and technology and why they're only good when they work. And I try to help people make them work. You know, sometimes it's better than others. Last week there was a huge outage. We don't have to get into that. But anyway, moving on. Robert Friedman. Yes, he is from BrandBuilt. That is where I have met him. And we have a lot of BrandBuilt people on as guests. But Robert is a really cool guy because he focuses on branding. And we in BrandBuilt absolutely love people who focus on building a personal brand or a brand for a business. And what I love about I've heard you say this so many times, and it's obviously on your LinkedIn profile, because if you join BrandBuilt, you're all a little obsessed with LinkedIn. We know this. We try not to be, but unfortunately that's what happens. Tell your story fearlessly. And the name of his company is Fearless Branding. I will let him jump on and tell you where he's calling in from and all about fearless branding. But I love that you say, tell your story fearlessly, because everyone is afraid to be open and honest and just be who they are. So that for me was one big thing that resonated when I met you and first had that kind of conversation, and it was a group setting. But when I started hearing you talk about fearless branding, I was like, this guy's cool. We should really try to get him on the podcast because it's a really important topic, right? I'm on, a very techie person, but I am also someone who is 100% me all the time. I think I'm fearless with my branding. I don't know if I am, but I try to be. So this is going to be a really cool conversation. Hi, Robert. How are you?
Good, Megan. It's nice to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Tell us, so where are you in the world today?
I'm in Oakland, California, in the Oakland Hills. It's 20 minutes outside of San Francisco.
And is it super warm and lovely? Because I feel like it should be.
It is lovely. It is not super warm. It's just perfect. It's probably
kind of
60
just normal.
something. Yeah.
That's good weather, though. All right. So tell everybody about Fearless Branding. Actually, just give a little bit about your backstory and how you even got into this, right? Like, how did you come upon or decide that you woke up, right? When you were a baby, you woke up and you said, I want to be a branding expert, right? Of course you did.
Exactly right. Why don't I answer your first question first, and then I'll tell you a little about the backstory. So Fearless Branding is a branding consultancy that works with professional services and consulting firms. And I'm looking for firms where the owner knows we are at the top of our game. We are so good at what we do, but it is a crowded, competitive category. And often where the firms look and sound like their competitors, right? So you can be really great, but if your message is the same as that other firm down the street, the key question is, how does your best prospect know that you are the right choice and not the other guy, right? So that's the kind of the business problem that I fix, and where it dovetails with what you do is, so when you are doing your marketing and you're putting your message out in the world, you want to make sure that that marketing actually works. And a lot of times firms are doing the right things, they're taking the right actions, they're making the right investments, but their message is generic. And so it's not like it doesn't work at all, but it could work so much better if it had a truly fearless brand, if it was really distinctive, if you dug deep to understand what makes us unique, and then you articulate that message in a way that your competitors are not, then your best clients know we got to choose this firm, right? So that's the basics of what I do with my work and my clients.
I absolutely love this, and I'll tell you why. Because for me, we always talk about one of the next kind of questions I always ask my guests is we talk about work-life balance, which I don't think exists. You only are one person. Life is life, whether it's personal or work. It's all one life. You can't separate it, no matter how hard you try. That it's just physically impossible. Unless you figured out how to clone yourself, then could you please email me, because I need like 50 Megans and I need at least 150 Andreas. So Anybody who's figured out cloning, that would be awesome. Let me know, because I'd be there. And I don't mean AI cloning. I mean, like, I really want to physical. Anyway, we won't get into that. But so the reason that I love talking with really great branding experts is such as yourself is because when we get into the whole work-life balance discussion, we all do this thing. We're all entrepreneurs. We started a business. But you know what we didn't start a business to do? To work more. Like we want more time. We want more freedom. We want to spend more of our life doing the things we really love, whether it's personal relationships, friendships, whatever it may be. Maybe you love to work and that's your thing. Great. Then you're already there. Awesome. You do you. But for the rest of us who want to actually have a life that is not 100% resolved around work, your branding and your messaging are the most important part. Okay, your messaging is the most important part of the thing that you do because that's what is attracting the right people, the right buyers, the right customers, the whatever you want to call it. And will give you more life balance because once you have the right people coming in the door to talk to you and buy your thing, guess what? Then you have more time freedom to go do whatever you want. And when he's talking about synergy between the branding and the technology, so here's the thing. The messaging is number one. The functionality is number two. And people hate it when I say this because they're like, no, what about the aesthetics? It has to be really pretty. No, it doesn't. If the words, like the words are there, yes, pretty is nice. But if you work with Robert, he's got your messaging down, right? Like it's on point. And then they go to this really beautiful website or they go to this really nice whatever application or wherever the thing you hand them a flyer and they end up on your brand and it's broken, functionally broken. You just killed your user experience, right? Like you just killed it. And so that is something why I really love working with branding experts because I will tell everybody that brand over functionality any day. Now, part of that brand is the aesthetics, obviously. But if you have a really pretty, aesthetically pleasing, wonderful brand and the entire behind the scenes operations of the business is broken, it doesn't matter how pretty your brand is. But that's my soapbox about work-life balance. So the whole point is when you do these things and when you decide to become an entrepreneur, you're deciding to become an entrepreneur because you want freedom to be your own boss, but you also want freedom to work when you want to work and when you don't want to work. Like that's a huge thing, right? With entrepreneurs and solo entrepreneurs. So I would love to get your take on that because I think, and this is just my opinion, when somebody reaches out to someone like yourself, it's very similar to when somebody reaches out to someone like myself. When they are looking to go kind of undergo a brand refresh or change and stand out from their competitors, it's usually because whatever they're doing is not working or it's not working enough. They're not getting, they're not making the money they want to make. They're not seeing the leads they want to see, like whatever it may be, right? And so they're spending more time inside their business instead of outside of their business. So I feel like it all kind of connects together.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's a couple of things I want to say in response to what you said. So I'll start with the last thing. Often my clients come to me. The number one reason is, why is my marketing not working, right? That they're investing, they're doing the things. So for example, my best client, owner of personal injury law firm, invested heavily, had an SEO marketing agency, and they were doing the activities. And her SEO was improving. She was not at the top of Google, but she went from page 10 to page 4, right? So good improvement. But the major problem was it wasn't driving the quality of leads. Not only, it wasn't so much about quantity of leads, but she wanted a higher caliber of client to be calling her firm, to be making inquiries, and it was not happening. So she was really getting zero return on investment for her marketing spend, right? And I was in the meeting when she fired that agency and she said to them, you guys are marketing me like I'm a frozen dinner, but I'm a 5-star meal, right? And I love that story because, what it just means is you didn't take the time and the care to understand me, to understand was there in my story, to be able to articulate it. You just put me out there like a commodity, like a frozen dinner, like
You
I'm
use
the
that
same
as a hook, right? You should use that as a hook for any post anywhere on any platform. Make her use that. That's amazing.
Yeah. Well, it's really about me. It's less about
Yeah.
her because It's about the marketing. And so, you were saying it's not so much that she was stuck working on the marketing because that's not her thing. She was working on her cases. She was trusting the experts to do what they're supposed to do to make her marketing successful. Right.
Correct.
And so that's where the lack of distinction and differentiation is the problem. Right. So where you and I dovetail, you were talking about work-life balance, and people can use the benefit however they want, but bottom line is a brand helps your message land. If you're putting your message out in the world to achieve something, be it your marketing, be it just a business development conversation, a networking conversation, if you have something distinctive to say, people will remember you, right? And then for automation, it's about amplifying that. So both parts are about taking you further faster, right? You're approaching it from totally different angles, but they're working in the ideal world. And this is what I wanted to talk to you about. In the ideal world, they are working synergistically to move that business much further, right? Worst case scenario is you've got a generic message and you're doing everything one by one, right? Which it sounds extreme, but it's not. That's what a lot of businesses, they try to build their business relationships, one conversation at a time. And there's a place for that. It's really effective, but it's really not scalable. And if you invest in creating assets that live in a permanent way on your website, on your socials, etc., and you're actually saying something that matters, that shows your ideal clients, that answers the question, why should we choose you? And then you amplify that through automation, through increased frequency.
Yep.
Then you're building an entire ecosystem that will be so much more effective.
The best way to know if your brand is broken or not is when you sprinkle a little bit of magic fairy dust on there and you amplify it with automation and systems and you go like this, boom, and then it just flatlines and it's crickets and you still don't increase. That's how you know that is not the system's fault. And I have so many people that are like, oh, my systems are broken, my tech's broken, no, it's not. It's not. And because I'll go in there and people, I pay horrible, or I feel horrible sometimes because people will pay me to do these audits for them, right? And because they're convinced that their technology is broken, it's the system's fault. And you go in there, the system works fine. It's doing exactly what you want it to do. It's doing everything you need it to do. It's working fine. But your messaging isn't working. The system isn't going to make your messaging better. Automation is not going to make your brand better. It's only going to amplify the crappy brand that you already had to begin with, which is really hard to tell people because then you're like, your messaging needs help. This needs help. And it's kind of a slap in the face for some people, right? Because the problem is some people, because either the technology is easier or that part of the business is easier, so they focus on that first. You should not have automation. You should not have multiple systems. You should not have Zapier and Make and all of this crap. You don't need that first. In fact, please God, stay away from it. Use your Excel spreadsheet. I don't care. If you come to me with an Excel spreadsheet after being in business for 6 months, it's okay. I will give you a hug and we'll move on. It's all good, right? But don't buy a system just to buy a system. Don't automate something just to automate it. There has to be a strategy and a purpose behind it. And if you're not seeing the sales that you need to see when it's not automated, it's not going to get better if you automate it. I'm sorry. Yeah. It will save you time. It will quote unquote save you time, but it's certainly not going to save you any money because you're going to spend more money amplifying something that's not working to begin with. So everything that he just said, everything that Robert just said, I want you guys to rewind this, listen to what he just said, and actually take it in, because I say this all the time and people laugh at me because they're like, but you're the queen of automation. And I was like, you're right, but I am also the queen of automation who helps people build lifestyles they love and get more time freedom back. That's my thing. It's not just about putting automation in place. It's about, I want to help Robert spend 10 to 20 more hours a week with his family because he came to me and he wants to go on more vacations every year. Done. That's my goal. My goal is, okay, we take what you have in place, your brand, your messaging, all of that. And then Robert says to me, but I want to do this, right? We don't build revenue goals. We build lifestyle goals. You want a new deck. You want a new car. We just talked about this earlier. You don't want to mow your lawn. You want to go on more vacations. Those are the goals that I help you get to, because that's when you can put automation in place. If you are making money already, but it's not amplified, right? And you're making money, but you're kind of plateaued, and you still are spending all of this time down in the business, that's where the automation and the operations come into play. But if you aren't making money and then you try to amplify that, then you have the reverse problem, and you have to go back to Robert, and then you can come talk to me. Talk to Robert first
Well,
and then find me.
so I agree with your overall framing, but I have a really important question, because in what you said, when you're analyzing the effectiveness of their whole system, right? And then you say, well, you don't really have an automation problem or a system problem. Then you said, but I feel bad, or it's like a slap in the face. Why? Right? Because it's reality, right?
I
So
don't
why?
tell them that. I'm telling you that. I don't tell
Yeah,
them that. I'm telling you that.
but tell them that your message is not working, even
Oh,
if it's
absolutely.
hard to deliver.
100%. Yep.
That's the point. And that's one of the most important drums that I beat. You can be doing all the right things. For example, like what you do, you can have great systems, great automation. But if the fundamental brand doesn't work, then, so I use this metaphor of you're going on a bike ride, and you could either get on that old school beach cruiser and go down and you pedal, right? Or you get on a finely tuned high-end racing bike. Same rotations, about the same amount of work. But on the second one, you're just going to get so much further. And that's the difference between a weak brand on the same bike path, doing the same pedal strokes, and a powerful brand, right? And so do you want your brand to be the beach cruiser, or do you want to be the racing bike? And you've got a choice, because it is like you've got to take the time. It's more complicated to build that finely tuned machine. You've got to really dig in there, understand it. What makes you unique? What are the key drivers? Who's your best target market? What do they really need? How are your people? How are their needs and what they're looking for different than your closest competitors? Because if you can really articulate those differences, then they're going to know, you're for me. But all that takes time. It takes work. But once it's in place, then you've got that finely tuned machine that's really going to get you somewhere. And that's the key about the brand and how it all works synergistically.
I 100% agree. 100%, because it's when I say things like I feel bad. Yeah, in my head I'm thinking, "Oh, this sucks." I have to go back to this person and say, but I still do it, right? Like there's never a moment ever. I never hesitate to tell them the absolute truth and tell them like, "Hey, I can do this, this, and this, but this isn't going to work, and this is why." Right? I can build you all the things that you want to build. And, sometimes I have people say, I want to build it anyway. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, sure, you want me to build it? Great. It's not going to help you, but sure. I mean, it happens, and it does happen. And sometimes I'm doing it simultaneously, like with some of the really big guys that I work with, right? Some of the really big owners, big founders, they're doing it kind of simultaneously. So we're building while they're kind of refreshing their brand, because some of the fundamentals of the things that you should automate are their fundamentals, their basics, and we can automate those and then put the other things in place. Like there's templates that we can put into place for like a sales process, and there's stuff like that we can put into place and then plug the messaging in when it's done. So we can do a lot of that simultaneously, side by side, but the head nod still goes to the brand. Like, all right, all of this stuff is set up, but you have to go finish this first.
I have this colleague who said to me once, everybody wants the ice cream, but nobody wants the cone. And it's really like people want that sexy thing, that beautiful new website, or that fancy automation tool, or whatever it may be, that tactic, right? Your ability. So I work on a model that has 5 questions. They're so simple. Like kindergartners know these questions. Who are you? Most businesses don't really articulate that. That's like what you fundamentally believe in your value. What do you do? That's not only what you do, but what do you do differently, right? That's the critical piece. Let me just turn that off. Then the next question is, who do you do it for? So that's about slicing your target market. So many businesses have their target market aperture set too wide. They're trying to go after too many people. But if, for example, you're a service business, you don't need 1 million clients. You may not even need hundreds of clients. You just need that handful of clients that are perfect for you. So why are you marketing to this broad universe? Then what do they need? That's what I call identifying their master problem. You need to be able to articulate one core thing that your target market feels is usually it's something that's broken. Sometimes it's a big opportunity. So for me, it's what I told you a second ago. It's why is my marketing not working? We're investing.
Yep.
And it dovetails with we want better, more lucrative clients, right? We want to up-level our clients. So those are the two master problems that I'm looking for. And then the last question is, what do you get? So that's just this basic, like, they're going to be paying me money. They're going to be paying you money. You're going to get something. What is that? And if you can wrap that up, that dovetails the functional and the emotional, then like that's a brand. But amazingly, so many businesses really don't have those questions answered precisely. They answer them too generically, too broadly. And that's why you put great marketing in place. You put great systems in place, and there's weakness there. So that's what's so important. Got to get more precise.
I usually frame those questions a little differently. So I have similar questions that I talk to people about, but I kind of flip it, and this works for some people and it doesn't work for other people, but I flip it to the negative in the sense that instead of asking like, what do you love? I'm like, what do you hate? Because it immediately eliminates, whoop, there we go. I just eliminated 90% of anything that I would have ever had you do. Because for people, when they get to that next step, right? Like that you work with Robert, you know who your ICP is, and then you decide that you've built some things, you have some revenue coming in, and now you want to automate it and amplify it. And then the reason I ask people, what do you hate? Is because for me, it's automation, delegation, or elimination. So first you decide, is this even needed in your business? Do you need this? Is it going to make a fundamental difference to get to your goal? If the answer is no, then you can probably just eliminate it. Like, why are you working on it? Something I always say, like, if you can't track or measure what you're working on, if you have no success metric, like success looks like, I want to buy a new car. Success looks like, I need this amount of money to do this. Like, if you have no way of tracking what you're working on, you need to stop working on it because you're wasting your time, right? I mean, it's pretty simple. But then I ask people, okay, so that task is gone because you've eliminated that because you don't need it. Then the other two, delegation and automation, are okay. So if you've decided that this thing is revenue generating or whatever, is going to provide value to the business, and here's why, you know what your success metric is. Do you like working on it? No, I can't stand doing this. Then you need to hire somebody and you need to delegate that to them, because all of those things, and I think it's very similar to when you're talking about a brand. When you ask people, well, who do you want to work with, or who don't you want to work with? Like, I hate the question, who are your ideal clients? I just, that question that everybody asks, I can't stand that question because I feel like it's not getting to the real root of the issue. Like you were saying, it's not getting to the real root of, no, like, who do you not want to work with? Who do you never want to talk on the phone with? Who do you never want to email with? Who do you never, ever want to be in the same room with? That question is so much more powerful, and it's not trying to be negative. It's trying to narrow down that positive group of people that then, okay, this is who your brand's going after. Because all of these people over here, you don't want to talk to them. Like, why would you? And I don't know. Here's a question for you. You asked me a question. I have a question for you. So, like, let's say you go through that exercise and the person has eliminated, a group of people, or the thing that they're doing or selling actually targets the people that they don't want to work with. What do you do then?
Well, that's why the first question about who are you and your values, right? Almost definitely you would have a values disconnect, right? If something is showing up that this product or this service is so great for this group, but I hate them or I don't want to work with them, then almost definitely it's going to be in conflict with your value. I need to understand what's underneath the I don't want to work with that group in
Right.
order to define it. There's always a way. There's always a way, unless, and I think this is both of our unless, maybe more mine than yours. If the fundamental service is broken, right? Or if they
Yeah.
really lack the required expertise to play at that high level, then they need to go and fix that first. And maybe that's part for me. I like working, my ideal order is they work with you first, then they work with me. Because what I want is if we're going to increase your number of perfect leads, you better be able to deal with them. You don't want those perfect leads to come in and have the business not be equipped to handle that,
Yep.
right? So I
Which
want
is
people
so
to have the
funny.
system,
Yeah.
they've got the methods, they've got the capacity,
Yep.
that's all there. Then we figure out, okay, but your story is not as strong as it needs to be. Let's get that down, right?
It's
So
so
that's
funny you
my.
say that because, yeah, it's so funny
You
that you
may
say
feel the
that
opposite,
because,
right? Like
no,
that if you have the story and then you amplify the systems, that'll work better.
I do and I don't. So here's the thing. If everybody did it that way and everybody knew that they needed a CRM, that would be amazing. Amazing. When you start a business, you need a CRM. Here's what I'll give you. I do agree with the fact that you need to be tracking and you need to have a data source for your leads somewhere. You do need a data source. It can be Airtable, it could be Excel. You don't have to go out and buy a big fancy CRM system, okay? You don't need HubSpot. You don't even need DMC, which is mine, right? In fact, we're pretty reasonably priced. So if you want to, anybody who's listening, you want to talk to me, talk to me. We'll get you in there very reasonably priced. And it's a system that can grow with you, which is really nice. But if you're just starting out, Robert is correct. You need a secure system that is behind a firewall. For the love of God, do not save personal information on your phone. That is not a database. You will get fined if the FCC comes after you. You do need like an Airtable or a Google Sheet in the cloud. I don't even say Excel anymore because so many people, what they've done is they've purchased Microsoft Office and they put it on their computer and now it's on their hard drive. Don't do that. Do not save lists of data information on your hard drive, ever. That is really bad. It needs to be in the cloud. It needs to be behind a firewall with a password that is like secure and connected. And anyone can do this. Airtable is free. If you have 200 people that you're talking to, Airtable is free. Google Sheets is free. It's included with your Gmail. All of this, and you have to log in to get there. So that is considered secure. So there's a certain, and as you get bigger, the reason that I, kind of have these freak out moments where when I talk to somebody who's making $800,000 a year, $1 million a year, and the bigger guys, as they start to get up there and they're still working off Excel sheets, I could have a whole nother hour about that. That's bad for them because they're dealing with really large buckets of information and data. You don't work off an Excel spreadsheet. But when you're, on the lower side of things, it's perfectly acceptable to use that as a database. It's perfectly acceptable to dump that information in there until you have some money flowing in, and then you can move to a system. So I do agree with you that ideally you need a place, you need a database, you need to be able to capture leads. I have taught so many people how to do this for free with Google and Stripe and Card. When Card was free, it's just a simple landing page builder. It doesn't have to be fancy, but you do have to have it. And so Robert is correct. When you're out there and even just starting out, you have to have some place to capture these people. You have to have some way of connecting with them and emailing them. Otherwise, it's pointless because then what are you going to do? You're just going to talk to people and not actually respond to them or try to send them an email or nurture them or anything like that, which is completely unhelpful, especially if you're trying to build a brand. So the big thing about list building and the reason that you should have some way to capture their email is that you don't own social media. any of them, right? You're playing on rented land and you can do, I've seen plenty of people start out that way where they're just, pulling people into their inbox and don't do that. If you get them off the platform, you've got to get an email or a phone number or something and then store that information somewhere else. But the real reason that people like Robert and I tell you to take it off the social platform is because you don't own that. And it's anytime Facebook, LinkedIn, whoever, it doesn't matter who it is, can decide that they don't like you and they can shut your shit down or the platform goes down or whatever. And then you don't have any information. You have no emails. You have no phone numbers. You have no way of contacting your audience. So at a fundamental level, yes, you have to have some sort of database so that when the entire world blows up and the robots take over, you have a way to contact your audience and contact people and you can still talk to them and network with them and sell them and all of the wonderful things. So because I think the robots are taking over. I swear every week I'm like, it's going to be today. The world's going to shut down. Anyway, I could be wrong, but I have this feeling that the robots are coming. What can I say? And I'm a tech person, so that's bad.
Very good.
Very good.
Very good.
I think that's a wrap. I do want you to, before we wrap though, I do want you to tell everybody where they can find you, and how they can contact you and reach out if they want to chat. Obviously,
Sure.
LinkedIn. We'll drop your LinkedIn in the show notes, with a direct URL and stuff. Anywhere else that you want them to go out and learn more about Robert Friedman?
Absolutely. So my website, fearlessbranding.com, check out my brand strength assessment. It's on the homepage and it goes to the conversation we were having around how strong is your brand and is it working to do what you needed to do to drive your marketing and build your business. It's super fast. It's 12 simple statements, takes you 5-10 minutes, but reveals an enormous amount.
That's awesome.
So
I love freebies.
All right.
That's very cool. All right, everybody, remember operations and technology are only good when they work, and branding, we'll throw in that. Operations, technology, branding, it's all only good when it works. And when it doesn't work, come talk to us. We'll help you out. See you later,
Perfect.
everybody. We will see you next week. Bye.
Thanks, Megan.